Okay, I'm gonna go through Dammah and his phases. I'm sick as I record this, so I apologize for the way my voice sounds. I will not be going over counters and staggers since this video is aimed towards new players. The Dammah fight can be divided into two main sections. The first half lasting for the first 50% of his health, the second half lasting for the next 50%. At the beginning of the fight, if you don't get a second knife wall, or after the second knife wall, he will choose a red or green color. Depending on which color he chooses, he will then do 3 phases based on that color. After he does those 3 phases, he will then do another knife wall, and then choose red or green again. That cycle will continue until you push to 50% of his health. If you shoot him at the beginning of the fight, he will do a second knife wall. It cannot be pureed, it cannot be HP potted through, nothing you can do about it. After he does the second knife wall, or if he doesn't do it at all, he will choose the red or green like I mentioned. In this recording, he chooses reds. In red phase, he will summon these red portals on the sides, and these green portals on here. These green portals will move in and out towards him, and there's more green portals over here that you can't see just because of the camera. These red portals will shoot these exposed lines which run across him. I've cut out some unnecessary content here, so these phase jumps might be kind of iffy to look at, but should be pretty efficient. So second red phase, he will summon 4 green portals, 4 red portals. The green portals will rotate on the outside, and they will summon these 4 bursting shots. There's more portals down here, around here. Can't see them all. These portals won't insta-kill you, but they do hurt quite a bit, so do try to avoid them. These red portals here, they have these red tentacles. Each of these red tentacle shots, little thing here, they do 200 armor piercing damage, so try your best to avoid them. You will also have these javelins, as well as these axes that are swinging around on the outside. And then after this phase ends, he will say so much power. And then he will summon this big red portal in the middle. And you can't really see it too well, but this right here is a little armor breaking blast that he launches out, and that can be decoyed towards the middle. So if you're a trickster, try to send some decoys right here in the middle. It will help a lot. And the most efficient way to do this phase is to just sit down here at the bottom and move left to right. These shots all come out in straight lines. And then since this is the third red phase, he has finished this red cycle and he's doing another knife wall. He'll signify that by saying breathe your last. You can see that down here in the corner. This knife wall will not be sickened. You only get a second knife wall if you stagger or you shoot him during a speech in the beginning. This is the first green phase, signified by him summoning these 4 green portals around. Kind of wiggle around in the middle here. He's got like these red shots coming in lines. He'll create these little purple arenas, as you can see. Yeah, see he'll wiggle around here in the middle. Then second green phase, notice this looks very similar to second red phase. You will have these green sickening tentacles. And javelins and axes are still in the middle. These javelins will kind of go towards him and then launch out. These axes are swiveling around him in a circular fashion. These lines here on the outside, they will expose you, and you can cross them safely. They do a bit of damage, but if you have like max defense, you can usually cross them and only take about a quarter of your health. And this phase ends signified by so much power. Third green phase, kind of nice. This green portal will follow players around, so try to get it decoyed if you're a trickster. It will also chase players around and summon giant shotguns. I believe it. Yep, right there. Giant orange shotguns, they do quite a bit of damage. Be cautious pushing in. This green portal will follow players, and what often people will do is they will intentionally drag it into the leeching corner, causing players to push up and sit in this section. Now, this is the third green phase, yes? So after this phase, he's going to immediately push into a knife wall. So if you are in this section, and if you're familiar with the knife wall phase, you know they have the giant walls on the sides, right? The big walls that you just can't touch, you can't interact with at all. Those knife walls spawn in right in this little section, and they move out in a triangular shape. So if you are standing here, when this phase ends, you will instantly die. It is not telegraphed at all. It is one of the worst insta-kills in this dungeon. Please do not stand on this side part when this phase ends. Someone gets killed by it in this clip. You can see them on the mini map. Okay, once you hit the 50% damage threshold, you can see up here, he will flash blue. He does in the middle. And then immediately after the phase he's in, he will finish out whatever he's doing, and then he'll go in straight into Suns or Miasma. And in this clip, he chose Suns, but it's a 50% if he chooses Suns or Miasma. Suns isn't that bad of a phase. Usually you just pick a section to stand on. We were grouped up bottom middle here. These green things will fire blue pet stasis shots. You can kind of weave around them side to side, whatever you want to do. These orange portals will fire armor breaking arrows. See here. Don't get hit by those. Fungals and MCs are very useful for this phase. So then he will do this phase from 50% to 35%, 15%, right? Immediately after that, he will go straight to whatever phase he didn't just choose. So if he chose Suns, he'll go into Miasma. If he chose Miasma, he's going to go into Suns. So since he chose Suns on this recording, he's going to go straight into Miasma. And this will last for the same amount of his health as the last phase. So another 15% from 35 to 20. There's a lot going on here visually, yes. Not as scary as it looks. It's bad, but it's not that bad. So these green arrows, they will sicken you, and that is very bad. You can't heal for another 5 seconds, and that is detrimental. What usually happens is you'll get hit by one, you'll get stressed out, and then you'll just keep chaining sickens, and it hurts. If you get too far out to the side, like way out here or whatever, see these infernal portals? They burst like that big. So just try to stay closer to them. These gray shuriken silence. If you're a buffing class, try to avoid those because then you obviously can't berserk or damage. Keep rotating. And it's important to note that this phase is pushed by damage, right? So you gotta keep shooting him if you want it to end. Personally, I do not screen rotate for this phase, but I know a lot of people do. It's just whatever you want to get comfortable with. Once he hits 20% of his health, because this phase lasts from 35% to 20%, he will then do whatever phase he did first, he'll do it again. So if you got Miasma first, he'll do Miasma again. Since we had Suns first in this run, he will do Suns again. And this will last from 20% of his health to 15%. If you ever hear an RL say like, oh, we'll have another short Miasma after this is what they're referring to. They're referring to this short little 5% of his health phase. Okay, we've gone over Suns. Not that bad of a phase. Red fireballs do pure damage. It's pretty easy. And then once that 5% of phase ends, we'll go straight into Disintegrate. These green silencing shots thickens. These orange armor breaking arrows, armor break, obviously. These blue fireballs will silence, which hurts DPS in the form of berserk and damaging. And these red fireballs do pure damage. If you have to tank anything, I'd say tank the red fireballs over everything else. Avoid the sickening and armor break arrows like the plague, especially if you're a heavy armor class. So he'll be invincible for 2 rotations while he sends these portals out just so they can start spawning shots. And it's difficult to notice, but these fireballs, as they move, they'll spin, right? And it looks weird. They will keep going out in a straight line. So you see this green portal, it's moving in this direction. It just bursted right here. It shot out this 5-star pattern. The fireballs are ahead of the arrows because they move faster. If I'm just looking around here, I can see this arrow came from this, like these were shot at the same time. What else? This fireball, this orange fireball, and this orange arrow were likely shot from the same portal somewhere up here. Just because of how spaced out they are, the fireballs will move faster than the arrows. It is important to note that these portals will remain active after he dies. But in this clip, he's already dead, right? You see my loot bag over there? He's dead. He's gone. These portals are still firing. I have seen so many people die after he dies, just because they run in for their white bag, whatever they got, their Genesis spell, their superior. They're so excited for it, they just run in, and then they get insta-popped by a green portal that was sitting on them. Don't let that happen to you, please. Thanks for watching. Hope you got something from it. Feel free to DM me on Discord if you have any questions.